is Evan Singh Luthra. I'm 24 years old. I'm a parallel entrepreneur and angel investor. I build and invest in fast-growing technology companies. I started when I was about 12 years old. I'm one of the first 100 guys in the world to make apps for iPhone. Built about 30 apps. Sold my first company when I was 17. But that I had already built multiple apps, had tens of millions of users. And after selling my company, started my incubator, Startup Studio, which is my focus today. What we do with Startup Studio is we work with non-tech entrepreneurs who have great ideas, but they lack the technical skill set and the monetary resources. We come in, we invest in them, give them money, give them resources, and build companies with them from the ground up. Today, the companies that we have built and invested in have a combined market cap in excess of $1 billion. We have tens of millions of users. In the blockchain space, we are focused on Equino, which is a crypto investment bank. We work with founders in the raise capital via the crypto markets. We come in and help them raise capital. Worked with some great projects that involved the former president of Bulgaria, for example, have delivered a 10x return to our investors. With the first project we did, have raised hundreds of millions of dollars via the markets, and it's great. Also opened the world's first blockchain center in New Delhi, India. We opened one in Zurich. We're opening a few more in Africa right now. And that's a small part of what I do. Yeah, apart from this, I have investments in a lot of different spaces. I have vodka companies, fashion companies, cannabis companies. We usually use technology to go into existing industries. So whatever we do, like we have a bunch of coffee shops in 40 countries. We have 1,000+ coffee shops. But when we operate this coffee shop, we operate more like a technology first company, and everything from the order to the vendor to the supplier, everybody's connected via app platform, and using things like artificial intelligence to know how much stock we have to order for the next month. So that's the kind of gist of what we do, or what I do. I got involved in, I bought my first Bitcoin in 2012. This was when I was actually living in San Francisco at that time. So at that time I was living 3-4 months in different places and being like a nomad. Today I'm also a nomad, but I don't really live anywhere. I do 120 flights a year every year. But I heard about Bitcoin first in 2012. Bought my first Bitcoin, got my friends to buy some Bitcoin. I started using them, spending them, but didn't realize its value as a store of money at that time. So I bought Bitcoin, spent it, and used it for different transactions pretty early on. I really got involved in the industry as an entrepreneur in early 2016. That's when I realized, okay, this is something that's going to change the world. What I basically say momentum growing around the industry, and between 2012, when I was in the crypto space, at the same time I was getting a lot of success in what I was doing was building apps, and like I had millions of users for that. So that was something that had more interest for me. And I was still a very, in 2012, I was still like 18 years old. So it was a very different time. And for somebody who was 18, something that was far more successful was the app industry. And being early in that definitely helped me a lot in that too. So I put more of my focus towards that. But in 2016, the things changed when I realized that, okay, this industry is really growing. And my own company started coming out to me and said, hey, can you help us with blockchain? Can you help us with this technology? I have 300 people who work for me full time building technology on staff, on salary, and we're building some of the greatest apps out there. And we had, and then these companies started coming to me and said, "Hey, can you help me with blockchain?" Then I realized, okay, this thing is really out there. I need to build expertise in that, and that's how I started to get into that space. Mostly it's based on my gut feeling, like the biggest benefit is I don't have to answer to anybody, I don't invest other people's money, I invest my own money. So it's mostly, it's a variety of factors. If somebody gets me in a good mood, I may say yes to an investment and follow through, or if somebody gets me in a bad mood. But it also depends, like, for me, it's about how big the idea is. I'm all about big ideas. I don't care if there's a 95% chance this won't work out, but there was a 5% chance this works out and changes the lives of millions of people. That to me is a big impact, right? I believe money is a byproduct of creating value for others. The more value you create for others, the more money you will make for yourself. So in the long run, it's always trying to build businesses that help each other grow and generate more exponential value together. And then we also see what other businesses have been involved in and how they can enable this business to grow faster. Now we are moving into an age of data. Data is the new oil. So having all these technology companies I'm already involved with collecting all these data already working with teams in 20 plus countries, you know. So every time we look, okay, this is a company that could actually use all the data we collected with this company. So every company is like a different. There's no set criteria to decide how you're going to go ahead with that. You know, it's like having a kid, right? You don't have a set criteria, and if you decide to go ahead with something like that. Blockchain to me is about giving power back to the people. It's more about blockchain than actually, it's more about the idea of decentralized systems and distributed governance than the actual technology itself. You know, I've seen technologies come and go, right? And technology grows very fast. It grows exponentially because it can build on itself. And now you're seeing AI come into the picture, and people cannot grasp how fast technology actually grows. So you will see blockchain probably come and go, and now people are already working on blockchain 4.0. I just met these guys in Russia working on blockchain 5.0, right? So what's going to happen next? I mean, but what Bitcoin and blockchain really gave us was the idea, which really spread fast, was that there's finally a way to give power back to the people. And to understand this, you have to go back in time. 300 years ago, governments and banks came into place when people started doing business outside of the local communities. So I'm from India, you're from Germany, he's from Russia. If they started doing business with each other, you would need a bank and a government to help govern it, regulate it. So there's nobody at the loser's end, right? What happened is, over these 3 centuries, the banks and governments became extremely corrupt. The banks are supposed to do like a public service. The government is a public servant. So what happened is now it's not the same anymore. You have to spend your own money to get money out of the bank, and the government really makes things happen in your favor. So that's now blockchain enables us to do that. It enables us finally to have a say in how we are governed. It enables us to decide how we want the businesses to function that are out there for us. So that, and it allows us to also bank the unbanked in a very far more convenient way that was ever possible before. And then you reach the aspects of tokenization, which is even more exciting because tokenization of assets and businesses enables people to have a say in how those businesses are run. So if there was an Audi token and a BMW token, and you go out there and you're looking for a car, and you ask a couple of your friends, and one guy owns a bunch of BMWs and owns a bunch of BMW tokens, the other guy owns a bunch of Audis and bunch of Audis, they would both tell you to go buy Audis or BMWs because they would have a claim in the profit of those companies. And then let's say Audi makes 10 billion in the year, and they're like, oh, should we put all the money towards a sedan or put it towards an SUV? As a token holder, you can vote. So that's what's really changed and will change how business is done in the future. And that's the exciting part to me about this whole industry. But the technology by itself was the one that birthed the idea. It's going to be replaced very soon. And like, I was in the app space early. I was there when less than 100 apps. Now there's 3 million app developers out there. And I've seen the industry go from where it was to today. And the same thing will happen with blockchain, right? And now it's the era of decentralized apps. So, and I've already invested in companies like Hashgraph, which are actually not a blockchain, but are proving the same idea forward. Well, there's the good and the bad side to it, right? There's a short-term gain, but a long-term loss. If you look at a project like Libra, for example, because one, you need that mass adoption that Facebook can bring, having 2 billion plus users across its various platforms. It's 1/3 of the world. And if Facebook is getting on this, they can actually make an added value for those people. But having a private company do that, proves a big problem that it's not actually decentralized. And it's open to manipulation by those very few people who run these private companies, which does not help the cause in the long run, right? But yes, at currently, it's great to have something like that, maybe other in the industry. But over the long run, I don't see that as a benefit for the industry. But only time will tell. You can only look back and connect the dots while looking back. You can't predict the future. I mean, the best way to predict the future is to go build it. So if somebody is interested in actually building an alternative to Libra, which many people are doing, all I can say is all the best. And hopefully it's because you don't want Facebook to own all the links. They already own a lot of data. You don't want them to own financial data too. I think I'm speaking at this panel on the future of society. So that would be interesting to talk about my thoughts about where I see the world going. And I've seen a lot, definitely, traveling to 50 plus countries. So I think I've definitely some good topics to add there. I'm also talking about, giving a short speech about philanthropy to opportunity, what it means to me by giving back while enabling people to build companies and create more jobs. The way I look at philanthropy has changed a lot since being involved in this space. And then I'm also giving away this 50,000 euro investment award into one of the best startups that pitched there. I'm going to look at the companies and decide here. It's a pretty interesting city. I like it. It's very beautiful, very old city vibe, and I have a great view of the port. So I like that also. I mean, the yachts and everything tell you that the boats are very old, so you can get the old vibe. But enjoy it. It's very early to ask me that question. I've only been here less than 2 3 hours, so I will be happy to give you better feedback later on. So I don't believe that it's hard to change, but nothing is permanent, and things don't stay there forever. You can look back at time and nothing stayed how it was. The only thing that's permanent is change, right? So change will always keep happening, and as we grow and as technology comes into plays a bigger role in our lives, change will happen much more faster. And people become much more efficient. So that's for sure. And you're already seeing a lot of different projects which claim to do something different than Bitcoin actually does, right? And also try to solve the same problem in different ways. So we will see all that always happening. But like I said, there's always downsides to an industry. You don't always go up in a straight line. You go in ups and downs, and then you reach the peak, right? So I've seen the scams out there. A lot of retail investors losing a lot of money due to the scam. That's the biggest thing that disappoints me. That it's sad that there's so many people that are scammed by these other people. So that's the only part that I'm disappointed about. But there's a welcome change, and more, on a more broader scale. That's just a lot of fake news out there. The government is not trying to ban Bitcoin. It's a lot of fake news. The government is a lot of politicians actually buy Bitcoin themselves. So it's nothing like that. There's nothing to worry about it. It's very easy to remember, in this industry you can buy the news very easily. So it's very easy to manipulate the news to your benefit. I'm always working on a lot of different blockchain companies. My major focus is Equino, where we work with other companies and help grow them. And usually we come in and take a big part of those companies. And I also invest in a lot of different projects at all times. Actually, we're in Germany. One of the most successful German STOs, Tech, is a company that I invested in. I was the first investor in them. I met them at a conference like this in Singapore where they were pitching, and they won the award from me. And today, that company, I was just at the office in Berlin yesterday. They have 70 people working for them worldwide. And when I met them, they didn't even have an office. It was just an idea. So I'm very happy about those guys. With Camera is another project that I'm also really excited about. They're doing a token sale as we speak. It's 1 million per day. They release 1 million tokens a day. And then there's another project. There's a couple of projects I'm really excited about to see out there. But I share most of my projects on my social media. And I go through a lot of projects. Like I said, Libra is doing a great job of that. But we will see, as Bitcoin starts creating more value for people. As you saw what happened in Argentina, the currency crashed 20% just a couple of days ago. Bitcoin suddenly went up. And this is what we'll keep seeing happening, right? As currencies fluctuate, as fiat currencies go down, because then we will see Bitcoin prove its value that, hey, this can actually be a much more sustainable sort of store of value. So it's only a matter of time. Things fall into place itself if you give them enough time. And remember, Bitcoin is less than a decade old. I mean, systems have been out there for centuries. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to reach a completely decentralized model overnight. You go from centralized to semi-centralized, then to decentralized. Things take time to happen, but with time you will see all that happening. Pleasure, guys. Thank you so much. If anybody watching this wants to reach out, I'm very approachable. You can always email me on evan@evanluthra.com. I'm always looking for great entrepreneur. It doesn't matter where you are. Even if you have a great idea, someday it could be the next Facebook or WhatsApp or Instagram, right? So feel free to reach out. I'm very approachable. Thank you, guys.